It's time to get mad, y'all. Welcome to the first episode of Q Rants, where I am Q and I'm gonna rant. And tonight, today, or whenever you're watching this video, me and the good man Aaron will be ranting about A Shadow in the Clouds. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's set the ground rules of what Q Rants is. And that is, there are no rules. Whether it's myself, anybody from MD, or whoever, we're going to be talking about something that grinds our gears or makes us upset. And it can be a conversation, a long-form essay discussion like thingy-majiggery, or any of the such. But basically, if we're mad and we want to talk about it, that's what's going to happen. And by we, I mean me and me inviting people, because this is Q Rants.
Obviously.
But first things first, y'all already know, it's Mr. Nobody, Aaron Michael Johnson, the guy who knows nothing but yet learns everything. And we are going to be talking about the 2020 Hulu exclusive film, A Shadow in the Clouds, starring Chloe Grace Moretz. And this film is some ass. This film is unmitigated ass in every sense of the word, and I have never been more disappointed in watching a film, with the exception of one other film that came out this year. Ooh. And that will be discussed as well on Q Rants. And all that's all we're gonna leave you with. But no, this film, before we get into the spoilers, just a quick synopsis. It's about it's set in World War II. It's about this female World War II pilot. She needs to package transported, and she hitches a ride on this plane with these other army dudes, and basically a gremlin. And for those who have seen the iconic Twilight Zone episode where William Shatner has to get a monster off the wing of the plane, that's basically what this story is, more or less. It's about the same type of monster. It's called a gremlin attacking the plane. And basically, Chloe Grace is the only one that has seen it so far, and she's trying to take it down. Also getting this package, and it's all this sci-fi horror movie and all of this other stuff that you like, and it's so awesome, guys. It's awesome.
Is it?
It's fucking not.
Okay.
We got that out the way. Before I get into it, Aaron, what is your, just a quick brief, what is your feelings on the movie?
I say this from the bottom of my heart. Stop giving Max Landis opportunities. Thank you. Thank you.
I concur, because this is even though he did not thankfully direct this film, he absolutely wrote this film. It has a lot of his idioms. It shows. This movie, okay, let's just get it out of the way. Throughout the course of the first act and second act, more in the beginning of the second act, Chloe's character, Maud Garrett, she's acting as if she's this British aerial delivery woman who has this super duper extraordinarily essential package that has to make it to the States, because they are currently in New Zealand at a New Zealand outpost during World War II, and she has to get it back to the States. Right. And she's giving all of these speeches that she knows what she's doing in her British accent, and she's so convincing, and I have her in this turret, and it's all condensed and everything, and she's talking shit to the people. The other dudes. You got the stereotypical angry Irish dude. You have the stereotypical overly misogynistic and racist New York, Brooklyn guy and Texas dude. You have the no nonsense captain who is more middle of the road and everything. You have the token minority who doesn't get any real dialogue until the very end. And then you have the hunky dreamboat guy, and you have the doughy-eyed rookie who doesn't know his lefts from his rights and just goes with the flow. And all the while,
there's that cap that goes up.
right. And all the while, it's establishing, they're misogynistic. They're not understanding her position. She's this woman of integrity, and she's having, she has this broken arm, and they're not giving her any guff about it. They are giving her guff and all of this other stuff. And they're setting it up like it's supposed to be this divide where she's more capable and competent than what they're leading you to believe, and all of that. And then the gremlin shows up. And you think the way the movie is framed up until that point is that it's framed like there's some supernatural connection between her, the gremlin, and the package.
Right.
That's what it these, because they would have these flashback cues where when they're talking or she's like gets done having an argument, like she'll close her eyes and she'll focus in on the package or focus in on the faces of the guys, and it'll be framed like it's some supernatural connection, like she feels it. And when she sees the gremlin, she goes back to the package to make sure it's all right. And you think that the twist is she's gonna be some supernatural secret agent for working for the crown and all of this other shit.
That's too good for Max Landis.
Oh, it's very too good for Max Landis, because after her first interaction with the gremlin, where not only does she stupidly put her fingers in between a metal compartment that she had no upper body strength. No one would have any upper body strength to keep it properly held.
Literally nobody.
And she ends up obviously breaking both of her fucking fingers on her hand because of that. And then she finds a metal piece that fell earlier that she could have just immediately put there to keep the gremlin from getting into the turret. And then they're like, so what's happening? What's this? And then she happens to see a Japanese plane, and then she gets back into another argument with the guys that's been harassing her and everything. And you think this is gonna be the moment where she Uno reverses and they look stupid, and then they start coming together in a meeting of the minds. Nope. Turns out they get information that she's been lying to them. That she's been lying to them, and the lie isn't some extraordinary thing. It's very mundane. Because then she switches her accent to American, and then it's like, oh, she switches her accent. What's going on? And then no explanation is given at that point. It's just still trying to lure you in to think she's this mysterious character who's handling something important. And she's like I saw a Japanese plane. We're being followed. At this point, no one believes her.
Right.
Also, almost skirted over this. Damn, she came onto the plane acting like her arm was broken, but in reality, it was never broken. She was just concealing her gun and
the damn gun, like
hiding the damn gun. And not only did she fail to use the gun when she first saw the gremlin, and she was like very timid in using it when she's a legitimate army officer, as far as we know. But she really could have did that in a litany of ways that didn't help the case against her to make her seem like a liar.
The movie had a litany of ways to solve the plot, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
But the kicker, the biggest kicker, was after the first major firefight where she shoots down the Japanese plane that was following her, and then you got folks starting to take her seriously, and then when she finally starts pointing out the gremlin to everyone else, and people start saying they see it, and it's a split down the middle, and now the Irish dude thinks the package is what's making people go crazy, because he's saying, oh, it is some mystical, but it's her controlling everyone with the package because too many people are starting to agree with her. And at that point, the movie is convinced you that it's going to be some extraordinary. We're finally going to figure out what's in the package. What's so important? Why did she have to have it? Why did it have this legitimate military clearance? Why does it look like she have this clairvoyance to it? In the most Max Landis. Wait, I'm gonna need you to explain it, Aaron. I'm gonna need you to explain it, because I don't think I can tear it to shreds any better than you can.
Max Landis comes from the old school of thought with filmmaking and screenwriting, which is you have to do that bullshit mystery box that J.J. Abrams started. Now, his whole thing is if you can just subvert expectations and you can get all of the audience to be like, you know, you have that gotcha moment, and it's supposed to change the whole, you know, not even change, but enhance the story and add some heart and depth. It's a baby.
It's a fucking baby.
A baby's in the box, and
that's not the only thing.
Yeah.
Now, see, you remember when I said that there was a guy, the googly eyed dude who was soft and you know, throughout the film they established that he takes her serious, and you know he's taking her word for it. You know, he's the good guy. He's the proverbial good guy, right?
Wide white man who believes in truth and justice.
It turns out that he's the baby's father. And it turns out that he and Garrett was in a illicit affair. And it turns out Garrett is an abuse victim, and she went to the army to leave her abusive husband and fight for her country. And overseas, her and the guy, they were in a relationship, and she got pregnant and she had the baby, but somebody ratted her out to her husband, and he flew all the way to New Zealand in the wartime,
you know, like what people do,
to try to kill her, beat her up, whatever horrible thing abusers do. Max Landis would know all about that, seeing as he is one. And essentially she got on that plane to escape from that situation.
Now, Monty, you can't make a joke about Max Landis and abuse when his father is right there. You know, you have ample opportunity to make a dig at him and planes. Like, come on. For all our film nerds out there, you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yes, it's so ironic because that also is almost like a Twilight Zone.
How about that?
It's almost like a Twilight Zone whole feel. But no, essentially, she went to that plane because her baby daddy was there, and they were going to escape to America with the baby and everything. And basically, it just makes her out to be a huge fucking liar, who just basically accosted these dudes just for that reason. And also, there's a gremlin on the plane. That's just a thing as well, completely unrelated to everything. The whole hook of the movie, the proverbial shadow in the clouds, has nothing to do with anything. It's just there. And I know in his mind he was thinking, oh my God, it's so clever because this has nothing to do with what she's going through. It's so independent, and she's just this regular woman in this crazy scenario, and she has to deal with this, and it's just so much. Not understanding that it completely destroys the plot of the film.
But no, that was supposed to be his alien. Don't you get it?
Or his predator, judging off those end credits.
Oh my God.
And then just to show how all over the place this movie is, in the entire third act is predicated on, now that everyone knows that it's a baby and knows she's a liar about it, they now decide to turn back to take her back to New Zealand, which is fucked up because, you know, she's being abused and you're going to basically take her back there. And that's fucked up. And also, there's more Japanese planes, and because the gremlin has been fucking up their plane, they more or less stand no chance at surviving against that.
Why would they turn around knowing that they were in a territory in World War II?
Yeah, that's stupid as hell. It's even stupider that when the gremlin more or less enters the plane and takes the baby and all of that stuff.
That was not a gremlin.
Like more or less when the monster actually ends up in the plane and starts fucking things up and steals the baby, no one goes, oh shit, let's actually try to get her out of here. She was right about everything. Right. Well, she was right about the gremlin and everything, and just forget all of that stuff. No, they still just say, fuck her. We're going to leave her in the goddamn turret, and her baby has been stolen, and her baby daddy seemingly was killed because they couldn't like, because that's what they were going off of. And then this movie goes. Then
you think it's gonna zag?
Then this fucking movie. So then we get to the dog fight scene where the Japanese planes starts attacking the plane, and then the gremlin's still destroying the plane. So then she starts on doing some die-hard shit, where with a broken finger and the power of maternity on her side, she starts crawling because her baby is now perched under this, I want to say, the front of the plane, because they really put it there, and it's hanging by a pipe, and she starts climbing. The turret gets blown up. And I also want to say this is a prime example of a pandemic film, because 90% of the movie is shot exclusively from Chloe's enclosed perspective in the turret. You don't see any of the cast members. It's virtually her talking by herself. I think there's only one scene where you actually see the inside of the plane. You see and that's the Irish dude's face, because this is how forgettable these guys are. You don't even remember their names, and they have a lot of dialogue, which is fucking amazing. Basically it's because of the pandemic, they couldn't be on sets with each other, so that's how they did that. So you really only get a connection with these characters by their dialogue, and since most of them talk like fucking assholes, it's just like, who cares? But then let me go boom boom boom. She dies hard her ways out of the turret after it blows up. She gets to her baby, she checks on it, and then she has to then die hard her way back into the plane, which leads to this was the sequence in the trailer that actually unfortunately convinced me to watch this fucking movie, because of how stupid and ridiculous it was. So she starts crawling back to the part where the turret was so she can enter the plane. So she gets her baby in, and her hand bandage that she had for her broken fingers gets caught on the hole. If it snaps, she falls, but one of the Japanese planes just so happens to blow up under her, and the explosion knocks her back into the fucking plane, and she lands, and no sign of injury or nothing. It's almost like she just went, like she bumped her head on a fucking Germex bottle or some shit. It was no form of, and up until this point, this movie has played up injuries to a realistic degree, but the most unrealistic shit that could possibly happen. I mean, her jumpsuit isn't singed. She's not have no burn marks or anything. She looks the exact fucking same when she was in the turret than she did when she got exploded. And the funniest thing in the movie happened. The Texas dude who was like hitting on her and like, damn, I wouldn't marry you. He looks at her dumbfounded after seeing everything. She goes, ma'am, welcome back to the party. And then immediately gets shot the fuck up by the Japanese plane. And then what we have is what I like to call the horror movie circuit of people being murdered because people forgot that it was an actual horror movie and remember people had to die. Yep. And then that's systematically the gremlin and the Japanese planes killing everybody. First you get the Irish guy who gets thrown out of the plane by the gremlin, but before the gremlin does that, he tells her, "Save the baby, you stupid idiot," which
has to be unlikable until the very end.
Like, what was the fucking point of saying that? I mean, yes, she more or less got y'all all killed.
True, but
and also that gremlin would have fucked y'all up anyway.
Okay.
But he got his ass tossed out the plane. Then she tosses the gremlin out the plane and then just starts dumping important shit on top of the gremlin, hoping it would hit it, and she misses every fucking thing. So then she tries to go to the front of the plane to tell the captain everything, like to let give him advice on how to land the plane because of all of the shit that's fell off. Then the captain fucking dies, and then his first dying words were, "I'm sorry." She goes, "What?" And then he gonna switch it up on her for no reason to say, "Look," like there was no point in him trying to save face in him getting fucking murdered. Like that was pointless.
Yep.
So then she goes back, and I'm sorry if I'm taking you step by step because this is just how fucking stupid this shit was. She goes back to the back gunner with the racist Brooklyn dude, and she tells him the captain's dead, and that they have to get to the front so they can land the plane and everyone can be safe. And then when he finds out that the Samoan guy, the co-pilot, was the only one that can land it, he says some racist shit, and then he immediately dies. And it's just like, this is all so fucking mundane and boring and stupid. She finally gets to the rookie guy, sits him down, he's strapped in. Turns out her side piece dude didn't die, he's still alive. And just to wrap it all up, the movie ends with them crash landing on an island, and everybody agrees that they're going to lie on her behalf so she doesn't get dishonorably discharged, and she can more or less be safe away from her abuser. And right as Mr. Sidepiece goes to propose, the gremlin's still fucking alive and snatches the baby. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear. I am not saying that a film that features an abuse victim needs to play it straight like the person avoids combat. But what I will say is that if you're going to spend 90% of your movie expressing why this woman is leaving her abuser, and then end the movie with her killing a supernatural creature who has the strength to rip apart a plane, and have her beat it to death with her bare hands, that sends the wrong message, in my opinion. That sends the message of, and with this being Max Landis, that's no surprise, of misguided attempts at giving women power. Because why not just say she killed her abuser and that's why she's on the run? Why make it seem like she's so afraid of this man that she has to flee? And I can already see that he probably thought, she's reclaiming her power, she's getting this, that, and the third. But it's like, that's so ass backwards. And you can speak more on that, Aaron. You can speak more on that.
Just from a story, just from a standpoint of writing it. I mean, like, when you want to portray women having power, you don't do that. You don't have them like just for personal taste. You don't have them running away from something and seem like for at least 80% of the film they're terrified. And it's like, oh no, but they're powerful. I mean, you could have conveyed it where like she's getting her power back, over the course of the film, but you don't do that. Like Max Landis, all he did and what the director tried to fix was like she's regaining her power by calling these dudes out, but it's never face to face. There's like this disconnect. There's a and that could be chopped up to COVID, but it's like it's still just a disconnect, and it's still a woman at the bottom trying to talk to these dudes at the top. And it's like, I get it, glass ceiling, because the glass knows he's so brilliant, that Max dude, but like it didn't work because it it did come off even more misogynistic, because this woman, it's like she's powerless until the very last point, and it's like you're basically giving her a pat on the back and say, well, see, no, see, she was powerful the whole time physically. She just wasn't spiritually or mentally or emotionally, because she was so terrified. Well, if she could beat down this damn monster with her bare hands, why did she do it to her husband? Why couldn't she do it to those guys? Why did she break her fingers if she's so strong? Why couldn't she open the latch shut for herself? Why was she having to, deal, like, up until the very end, or really to the third act, you got the taste of this woman dealing with misogyny to a degree that was just a little too much for me, because it was almost cartoonish. We can talk about that in a minute, but it's like, she really didn't, you got the sense, even with it being so bad, you got the sense that she's in a space she can't really get, she can't vibe with because she's a woman. So how's she gonna deal with this? And it's just like, no, never mind. No, we're throwing that out the window because I'm in trouble with the law with how I treat women. So let me show that I believe women are so super strong. And yeah.
My thing, you're right on the money. And my thing is, in the hands of a better writer, a woman writer, they wouldn't have made Garrett a liar to the extent that the movie did.
Yeah.
Because, and this is me speaking as a man, this is me speaking as a man, but if I was going to call myself writing a woman empowerment movie to this degree and whatnot, I would say Maude would just simply, I would literally have every other box checked off but what the package actually was. That would have been the only lie. Because, not saying it makes it easier for everyone to try to come together and understand each other, but it, like you said, it wouldn't have felt so fucking cartoonish. And it wouldn't have made you go after watching everybody die and say, yeah, you're at, it's your fault, more or less for telling all of, for lying and, like that. And I know that, and as a person who has, has a family member who experienced, an abuse and whatnot, and the lengths you go to cope and deal with that. I think that it was, with this movie, it was used wrong. It wasn't used as a tool of sympathy. It was used almost against her, because it was like, why are you arguing your credentials? When she was mentioning her credentials, that would have been more powerful when the jig was up. That wouldn't have, establishing it that early while she's
wrong spot.
Establishing that when it's that early on and we don't know the full scope of what, her deceit, makes it come off like, okay, is she really a pilot? Is she just saying that to it just feels like it was trying to be the smart subversive film, and it just came off very backhanded, especially because Max Landis history with gaslighting and abusing women, and like you said, his trying to make it seem like, oh, I'm back in the public spotlight now, so let me try to show folks that I'm a different person. So I'm going to make this women empowerment film, and still write it. This film is written from the lens of an abuser who's trying to convince people he's not an abuser.
Ooh,
and it shows.
Turn it up 100 for a minute. Can I turn it up 100 for a minute?
Go ahead.
Can I go ahead and make the hot take? Let me look straight at the camera. Max Landis is the filmmaker a lot of people think Zack Snyder is.
Bingo, bango, bongo. A lot of these directors are actually the director that people think Zack Snyder is. Because if I can be a Zack Snyder shield for a second, Zack wouldn't have had Chloe's character be a liar.
Hell no. And if she did lie, it would be for, like you said earlier, because she killed her husband or something to a greater length. It would be something really huge, or they could make her a damn spy.
And as a matter of fact, if you would like to know how Zack Snyder handles the topic of abuse in women, if you want to see him handle that topic, YouTube Snow Steam Iron starring Samantha Wing. And that is a silent film that perfectly shows how he would handle that scenario while keeping the women in power and showing that whole system at work. But we're going to end it off with a rating. And since this is Q Rants, and since we've ranted at a long degree about how we feel about this, we're going to obviously give our most exaggerated / genuine rating for this film. And I'm going to give this film the little things out of 10 in how this movie is a waste of time. It will have you going, what the fuck am I watching? And it will have you genuinely annoyed you wasted time watching it. And in Aaron's case, watching it twice. Which no one, I'm sorry you had to do that.
I mean, it was the critic in me, but like, for my rating, I have to give it 2 little things out of 5 Catwomans. Yeah.
Oh, so your grading is actually much nicer than mine, because it being a little things out of 10 is virtually like rating something a 10, like a negative 10 out of 10 on a spectrum, because we'll get into that at some future. It's the
little things, Kwamani.
But
it got Max Landis caught. It got Mar caught
for no reason. But in any case, I have been Q. This has been Aaron, and we have ranted successfully. Till next time, everybody. Stay beautiful. Stay awesome. Peace.